Hello everyone, it's Seth, probably better known as Saffron Olive, and it's time for another edition of Against the Odds. And we got a sweet one this week. We are continuing our exploration of March of the Machines Aftermath, this time in Pioneer with 8 Flayers. So Soulflayer is a classic Against the Odds creature. It's a 6-drop, but usually it's 2 mana because you can delve away stuff from the graveyard to make it cheaper, and then the 4/4 steals all the keywords of stuff that it delves away. So in our best draws, Soulflayer is like a 2 mana 4/4 flying indestructible hexproof, double striking, life-linking creature, maybe as early as turn 2. So Soulflayer is really sweet, but it has a problem. There's only one Soulflayer, which makes it inconsistent, but now, thanks to Aftermath, we can play 8 Flayers thanks to Urborg Scavengers, which is not exactly Soulflayer, but pretty close. A 3 mana 2/2. When it ETBs or attacks, we exile a card from the graveyard and put a +1/+1 counter on it, and we get to steal all the abilities from the card's exiles. So it starts off a little slower than Soulflayer, but builds into an even bigger threat throughout the game. So the goal of this deck is pretty simple. We spend turn 1 and turn 2 filling our graveyard as quickly as possible with Otherworldly Gaze, Grizzly Salvage, Grapple with the Path, Lotless Troll, Tainted Indulgence, and we're hoping to get Nightveil Predator, Striped Riverwinder, Zetalpa Primal Dawn, and Chromatic Core into the graveyard. With our best draws, we can turn 1 Otherworldly Gaze, mill over, let's say Nightveil Predator, Zetalpa, and Chromatic Core, and then on turn 2, or on turn 3 with Urborg Scavengers, delve away those cards, exile those cards, and end up with a 4/4 flying indestructible, trampling, double strike, vigilance, hexproof, death touch, lifelinking creature, which is enough to beat pretty much any deck in the Pioneer format. So that's the plan for today. Mana base wise, pretty simple. Some mana confluences in case we actually want to try to hardcast our Chromatic Core. And in the sideboard, we get Stubborn Denial as really good protection for our creatures, some interaction, some hate cards, some Kaidos to have a more resilient draw and discard outlet against control, and that is 8 Flayer for Pioneer. That's our Against the Odds deck for today. So let's jump into a Pioneer League and see just how many wins we can get by building the biggest, scariest monster as quickly as possible now that there's 8 Soul Flayers in the format. Thanks for watching, everyone. I hope you enjoy it, and I'll be back in a bit for the wrap up. Need some Aftermath cards? Well, you can snag them from our sponsor, Card Kingdom, over at cardkingdom.com/MTGGoldfish. Pioneer time today. We are playing some 8 Flayer, the all-iniest of Soulflayer decks, and we'll try this. We got a Soulflayer. I mean, having Urborg Scavengers alongside Soulflayer is actually a really huge deal for adding consistency. One of the issues with Soulflayer in the past is, oh boy, the race is on. One of the issues with Soulflayer in the past is there's only 4 Soulflayers, and if you don't hit one, it's pretty sad. I don't know how this is going to go against Mono Green on the play. Perhaps poorly. And passes. Mana Confluence. Grapple with the Pass. That's 2 cards in the graveyard. 3, 4, 5 cards in the graveyard. Well, let's just chip the turn. Opponent, Forest. Gets in with Old Growth Troll. Well, let's grapple. Grab a Swamp. Well, that was actually some pretty good milling. Grapple with the Pass, Riverwinder, and also Chromatic Core, which is kind of the dream. Oh, the worst card in Pioneer. Opponent, Karn the Great Creator. Gonna get a Tormod's Crypt. We are gonna puke. Actually, our opponent might have messed this up. Our opponent definitely messed this up. Okay. The way our opponent did this, they actually punted, because delving exiles the cards right away. So we get the Soulflayer. They needed to crack it earlier. So now we have a flying first strike, hexproof, vigilance, lifelinking, trampling, indestructible. Oh, Soulflayer. Okay, so we got a shot. I mean, I still don't know if we're going to beat the Karn. Opponent, tutoring again with Karn. Puke. I mean, that is one of the upsides of Delve is... I mean, our opponent had the answer, though. They just had to use it. They had it, though. Well, now we'll see. Is a Soulflayer enough? Is a Soulflayer enough to beat what our opponent's doing? Woodcaller Automaton. Okay, Wolf of Havel. I mean, our opponent's almost out of cards. Another Old Growth Troll, sure. Without a Nykthos, we might be fine here. The question is, do we go face or do we go Karn? I guess Karn doesn't do much this turn. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Are we going to be mono green? Is that a thing that might happen here? Yeah, let's just draw, see what we hit. Striped Riverwinder. I mean, there's still ways this goes horribly wrong. Down to 16. Play Lotlith Troll. And a Swamp. Untaps. 5 mana. Cavalier of Thorns. I guess that was a reason to attack the Karn. Opponent gets a Forest. Mills a Storm the Festival. Takes up the Karn. Yeah, maybe we should have attacked the Karn. So we will grapple with the past. I mean, I guess we get back Night Veil Predator. This means Karn gets to tutor again, though. Upkeep, Otherworldly Gaze. Well, Graveyard, top. All right, we untap, we draw. Grapple with the past. We play Mana Confluence. Well, I guess we Night Veil Predator. And we can't attack through the Cavalier. Ugh. Yeah, mistakes may have been made, because now Karn gets to tutor again. So I guess maybe we were too greedy to not snipe the Karn. Opponent, going to tutor again with Karn. Gets a Transmogrifying Wand. Wolfwillow Haven. Okay. Uses Tormod's Crypt. All right, well, Tormod's Crypt's gone at least. Now if this dies, they get back the Karn again. Bonabazes. We draw Urborg Scavengers. Grapple with the past. Overgrown 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I can't storm the festival yet no matter what. Urborg Scavengers. Eat the Zetalpa. No attacks this turn. Oh, this Cavalier has really shut down our offense. 6 mana. They draw a Storm the Festival. We have an impressive board, but isn't impressive enough. Kiora and a Nykthos. Okay, and they get to untap, and now they get to Nykthos. Yeah, I mean, I think we just lost to the Karn. Wolfwillow Haven and Llanowar Elves. Okay, well, that could have went worse. Plays Llanowar Elves. I mean, opponent's down to a single card in hand. Maybe we still have a shot here. That is indestructible, so thank you. Free Ox. What we'd actually really love is to draw land here. I think we actually cycle this Riverwinder right now. If we can draw land and put Chromanicore on the Scavenger, then things become interesting. Let's cycle. Down to 11, temporarily Grizzly Salvage. Zetalpa. Green-black, Grizzly Salvage. Okay, there's a Scavenger, so we'll take Scavengers. Play Scavengers. To get rid of the Storm the Festival. The problem is I'm scared of this Cavalier dying. That's the situation we're at right now. Scared of the Cavalier dying, because if the Cavalier dies, they get back Karn from the graveyard. I guess we could attack and eat the Karn, but then they get back Invasion Ixalan. Are we actually not attacking this turn? That also feels horrible. So if we go to combat, what happens if we swing with this? I almost think we're supposed to wait a turn. It feels so bad though. Plus then they untap with Kiora and do all that stuff. I think we pass. I don't know if this is right or not, but I think it's what we gotta do. We can't give our opponent back anything from the graveyard. This Cavalier is really changing things. Opponent. No, you didn't just draw another one. Okay, sure. Well, we knew about that. Opponent gets to draw a card because of Kiora. Our opponent has a lot of nothingness in their deck, so we just gotta hope they draw the nothingness and not the good cards. Gonna be passive. Can't get through the blockers. Land. Let's draw a land that's untapped. Striped Riverwinder. Okay. Night Veil Predator. This is 8. I mean, we got to go for it. Go to combat. Opponent has 1 reach blocker. So this attacks our opponent. This attacks our opponent. This attacks our opponent. This attacks our opponent. These can hit for 8 -2. So 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 17. I think this works. So this Scavenger eats Zetalpa. This Scavenger eats Chromanicore. All right, is it game? Did we get there? Did we scavenge our way past the best deck of Pioneer? Oh my god, it's happening. Oh my god, it's happening. Ah! We did it. Oh my goodness, it worked. On one hand, somehow we lived till turn 8 against Monogreed. On the other hand, those are some scary Scavengers. Through our opponent having the Karn to get the graveyard hate, now the question is, how do we sideboard? We have a ton of cards that would be good, like this whole pile. This whole pile would be good. Can we afford to bring that many cards in? Probably not. So Fatal Push can kill the Mana Dorks. Stubborn Denial can counter things, like Planeswalkers and Karns. Thoughtseize can slow them down. Ether Gust. Boy, are we just trimming a little bit of everything? That might be where we're at. Trim one of those, trim one of those, trim one of these, trim one of these. In some ways, Scavenger is kind of better than Soulflayer, isn't it? Trim one of these, trim one of these. Maybe we only go 2 Stubborn Denials? Are we gonna leave ourselves with a functional deck? All right, well, let's try it like that. Bring in a bit of interaction, do a bunch of trimming. Opponents on the play, mono green devotion. Can we take him down? You know what? I think we can keep this. Opponent, Elvish Mystic. So we get to turn 1, kill the Elvish Mystic, which is good. We do need to draw lands. So Mana Confluence, kill the Elvish Mystic. Next turn, we can Otherworldly Gaze upkeep to try to hit our land drop. Go from there. Land or Elves. Ooh, they kept a 1-lander. All right, well, we will Otherworldly Gaze. We have to, unfortunately. Well, Graveyard, Graveyard, Land. Well, we draw the Overgrown Tomb, play it tapped. All right, opponent, no lands. No lands for you, please. And an Old Growth Troll. Or Kiora, maybe. Ugh, all right, Kiora, that's pretty good. Let's gaze. Graveyard, Graveyard, top. All right, so we draw the Breeding Pool. Breeding Pool untapped. Pass the turn. Well, I've got a lot of cards in the graveyard, but they're not. Oh! The draws. Opponent, Old Growth Troll draws a card. That's a little disappointing. Well, we will Grizzly Salvage. Go digging. I guess a Lotleth Troll. No land somehow. Mill a bunch of cards. No payoffs, though. Well, we will draw. Okay, Grizzly Salvage. Go digging. Unfortunately, we can't hit a land and a payoff. Well, we'll take Mana Confluence. Play Mana Confluence and pass the turn, but not a huge fan of where we're at the moment. Opponent untaps. Finds another land. Opponent Storm the Festival. Okay, well, that could have been worse. Well, okay, green, black, ouch, ouch, grapple with the past. Scavengers. Take our beats, drop to 9. Darkslick Shores. So if we play Scavengers, I guess we get Hexproof? We are getting low on life, aren't we? This painful mana is adding up. Yeah, I mean, I guess we Scavengers. So play Scavengers. Eat a Night Veil Predator? I mean, if they go Nykthos, Storm the Festival, then I think we just tip the hat. Play the land, pass the turn. Death Touch, Flying, Hexproof. Next turn we can add Lifelink. Vigilance, although it'll be tapped. We could also Zatulpa off the Lotleth Troll that might be better. Lots of mana. Oh, you got another one? Okay, tapping and untapping, 7 mana. Lair of the Hydra. So they're going to force us to chump block. Yeah, that's not great. Chump block the Lair of the Hydra. Drop to 4. 4 is not a lot. We really wanted that Scavengers to do some work. Soulflayer. Does that change things? I mean, it's still going to depend on what our opponent draws. Discard Zatulpa. Soulflayer. Zatulpa. Chromaniflayer. Night Veil Predator. And a land. Okay. Opponent untaps. Death Touch, Double Strike, First Strike, Flying, Hexproof, Indestructible, Lifelink, Trample. That is an unbeatable creature if our opponent can't just combo off and go over the top. Once we gain the life, we can also grapple with the past to get back the Urborg Scavengers to eat the Storm the Festival to make sure that doesn't happen in the future. Good card. We gotta kill this Kiora. This card draw is killing us. And Old Growth Troll draws a card. Yeah, Kiora's going off. Opponent can't attack this turn though, really. Untaps a land. And Wolfwillow Haven, sure. Well, next up is Kill Kiora. So we draw Zatulpa, takes it. So we go back up to 11, grapple with the past. Soulflayer. Soulflayer 2, pass the turn. I mean, we have shut down the creatures. This doesn't stop our opponent from a combo kill, but these 2 Soulflayers are pretty good. Pretty good. They can flip Pelucranos, but I don't think that really matters. Okay, gonna flip Pelucranos, sure. We don't really care. Plays a land. Like, these Soulflayers beat the Pelucranos. I think we're gonna upkeep Gaze, because we would like to find a Scavengers to get rid of the Storm the Festival. That is next on our list. So stop on our upkeep. Otherworldly Gaze. We could also find, I guess, a Stubborn Denial. Well, none of those stop it. Graveyard, 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 I think. Yeah, mill them all. Draw a new one. Another Soulflayer. Do some attacking. Are we blocking with Pelucranos? Wow, opponent takes it. Opponent scoops it up! Opponent scoops it up! Urborg, Scavengers, Soulflayer taking out Mono Green Devotion. I can't believe we made that happen. Oh, that was spectacular. I never beat this deck. Sand doesn't look great. We have no payoffs. I guess we can Lotleth Troll to discard stuff. I think we just mulligan. I think we need a way to fill the graveyard. All right, this is fine. Probably Chromatic Ore to the bottom. We have Scavengers. We got Otherworldly Gazes. Hopefully we can Otherworldly Gaze something worth scavenging into the graveyard. All right, well, Dark Slick Shores. Spire Bluff Canal. Passing. Well, let's do some gazing. Yeah, let's graveyard. We'll keep the Blooming Marsh. Well, we can gaze again. We really just need like Hexproof in the graveyard, as a Tulpa in the graveyard, something worth scavenging. Although I guess we also kind of want our opponent to tap down. One of the downsides of Scavengers is the way its trigger works. Graveyard. Yeah, let's keep Soulflayer. Play the Forest. Pass the turn. I mean, we're just gonna keep gazing. And Fable of the Mia Breaker. Well, let's do some gazing. Graveyard, also graveyard. So we have a Chromatic Core. Okay, so I think we do this one more time. Gaze. So we want a black source on top. And okay, Hexproof in the graveyard. That's what we wanted. So graveyard. Watery Grave on top. Okay, that's good. So now we get to Watery Grave, Soulflayer, Hexproof, Chromatic Core, and then whatever. Not bad. So first strike flying, Hexproof, Lifelink, Trample, and Vigilance. Not the best ever Soulflayer, but not a bad one. We would like more ways to fill the graveyard. We don't really have anything else worth eating at this point. Fiery Impulse, Volcanic Spite. Pretty clearly Indomitable Creativity goes to combat attacks. Well, we will kill the goblin about it. More Fable of the Mirror Breakers. Grizzly Salvage. Well, okay, green and black, Grizzly Salvage. Take a Soulflayer, go to combat, and go back to Soulflang. So opponent goes to 12. So we got another Hexproof Soulflayer, which is good. Do we have counters? Oh, the power of Fable, the Mirror Breaker, okay. I mean, this Soulflayer does win in 3 turns. The question is, do we survive that log, or do we get Indomitable Creativity? Mill some removal, it's not doing anything, or discard some removal, it's not doing anything. These 2 Fables are gonna combo off at some point. All right, what do we draw? Hit you with this Soulflayer. And I think we just play Lotleth Troll. Play the Troll. The next turn we can discard Predator and try to scavenge it, I guess. Are we dead? Okay, gonna make some 1/1s, oh boy. So setting up for a really good Indomitable Creativity if they have it. Spikefield Hazard. Well, we will regenerate. Actually, we don't even need to regenerate. Let's just discard Nightveil Predator. Opponent's only got 1 card in hand. Hopefully that 1 card is not Indomitable Creativity. If it is, we're in trouble. This wins in 2 turns. So unless we get Creativity, I think Soulflayer gets there. No attacks. So that is good news. Okay, we untap. Grapple with the Past. Oh, we did not get a land. Well, take the Soulflayer. Go to combat, do some attacking. We'll leave back the Lotleth Troll, I think. Go up to 34. Well, we haven't even found the window to scavenge. This one is just straight up a Soulflayer game. So, Chromatic Core, Hexproof, and whatever. I mean, we pretty easily have... I mean, this isn't going to kill us. Opponent can make all the Kikis, but that doesn't get through the Soulflayers. I mean, we're at 34, so we could even just take the hit and it's not going to kill us. So opponent going to make a bunch of Kikis. I mean, the only question is, can they combo kill? Can they combo kill this turn? Or can they somehow stop 2 Soulflayers? Do they have Indomitable Creativity? Land. What's that last card? Fires up Mutavault. This feels like maybe our opponents just knows they're done. Makes a Treasure. This doesn't beat the Soulflayers though. Block a Kiki, discard the Scavengers. I don't even know if we lose life here. Okay, we lost like 8. Oh, we got it. We got there. Oh my goodness. Maybe this deck's actually good. Maybe the deck's actually good and opponent scoops it up. Okay, that was very impressive. That's gotta be Creativity, right? It's gotta be Is It Creativity? What do we want against Is It Creativity is a question. I think Stubborn Denials, Thought Seizes, maybe Ether Gusts? Something like that. Like, go down one Tainted Indulgence, go down a Lotlith Troll, go down one Chromatic Core, one Night Veil Predator, one Riverwinder, one Zatalpa, maybe one Grapple, and one maybe Scavengers. Scavenger's a little sketch in this matchup just because it is a triggered ability. So we know our opponent's playing a ton of removal. We saw them discard a ton of removal spells. So if we just run this out, there is a window, unlike Soulflayer, where our opponent can kill it in response with like a volcanic spite or something. Yeah, let's try it like that. Bring in a bit of interaction, essentially try to do the same thing. Can I keep the Zero Lander? All right, this we can keep. We will keep, I think we'll just put the Lotlith Troll to the bottom. Well, let's see what you got, opponent. Shivan Reef passes. Ooh, there's Soulflayer. Well, Watery Grave, untapped. Actually, maybe we Thoughtseize this turn. Yeah, let's Thoughtseize. Hullbright Core is forever away, right? Maybe we take Secrets of the Key? What does this have? Flash. Nothing worth eating. Yeah, let's take Secrets of the Key. That's the thing our opponent can do most immediately. Hullbright Core in hand's not that scary. Like, by the time that's going to be coming down, our stuff's hopefully going to be hexproof. Opponent passes. Well, we will Otherworldly Gaze. Graveyard, graveyard. Keep the Darkslick Shores. So we can get down a hexproof Soulflayer next turn. I guess that's still probably going to be worth it. Passes. Well, cycle the Riverwinder into a Watery Grave. Well, yeah, let's just draw. Lotlith Troll. Play the land. So our opponent's hand, they played this. We know there's a Shark Typhoon. We know there's a Hullbright Core. There's a Stormcarved Coast. They played the Pathway. So we know there's those three cards and then two unknown cards. Yeah, I think we just Soulflayer. They drew a Many Disappear. They drew Disdainful Stroke. Okay. Well, I guess that would have been a reason to go for the Scavengers. All right, opponent untaps. Stormcarved Ghost passes. Watery Grave untapped. Play the Troll. Volcanic Spite. I think we might as well regenerate. This does mean we don't get to Otherworldly Gaze, but we can do that upkeep and still scavenge. Opponent, Volcanic Sprites. What did they put to the bottom? Oh, I guess we don't get to see. Steam Vents for our opponent. And Fable of the Mia Breaker. Kind of want a piece of interaction at some point. Otherworldly Gaze. Stubborn Denial doesn't do it here, does it? We do know our opponent's hand, though, mostly. Well, put in the graveyard. Put in the graveyard. Put on top. So we're drawing Otherworldly Gaze, Breeding Pool untapped. Our opponent's actually getting to the point where they're going to be able to play Hullbright Core. That's not good. That's not good. Keeping everything. Oh, another Fable of the Mirror Breaker. Goes attacking. Well, let's Otherworldly Gaze. Graveyard, graveyard. Put on top. Block the Goblin, regenerate. We're gonna need hexproof though. Gonna need hexproof. Regenerate Lotlith Troll. Kill Goblin number 1. Opponent passes. We will grapple with the past. Mill some cards. Take Soulflayer. Urborg Scavenger. Ooh, okay. Another counter. Pass the turn. This is looking bad though. Oh, I think we're done. I think they got us. Little disappointed our opponent found 2 Fables. We had that early Thoughtseize, and our opponent's hand was not especially meaningful, but they managed to find multiple Fables, which is a problem. Goes attacking, makes a treasure. Yeah, I mean, I guess we just take it. Passes. Well, upkeep. We will Otherworldly Gaze. Those are good ones. Graveyard, graveyard, top. So we get to try to make a big Soulflayer. We'll see if it works. Did they find another counter? Oh, and a mascot exhibition. All right, well, we'll pass the turn. Opponent found a lot of counters. Actually, you know what? I think we're just dead. Let's go to game 3. They have the infinite Kiki combo, so I don't think even building a big Soulflayer is not going to matter there. All right, run it back. Opponent managed to chain together a lot of counters. This hand, horrible. We will mulligan. I guess we put Chromatic Core to the bottom. I do like the Stubborn Denial. That's good. Darkslick Shores, go. Need to get some goodies in the graveyard at some point. Passes. Let's do some gazing. Wow, those are hits. Graveyard, graveyard. Keep the Soulflayer. Play the Mana Confluence. You know what? I think we just do this now. We really want this to resolve. Grizzly Salvage. Take the Overgrown Tomb. Mill, nothing of note. Opponent, Steam Vents untapped. I wish we had hexproof. Stubborn Denial. Well, okay. Overgrown Tomb, untapped. Soulflayer. Divide by 0 is an issue. Should we wait one more turn? So we Soulflayer. Our opponent counters. We have to counter back. And then if they untap and divide by 0, we get pretty wrecked. But what are the odds that we gaze into... You know what? I think we actually do it. Soulflayer. So no hexproof, but otherwise a very good Soulflayer. Opponent has Disdainful Stroke. Well, we will counter it. All right, well, let's see if they have the divide by 0. Indestructible's huge. It's not 9 to normal removal, but we saw divide by 0, which could bounce it. I mean, if we untap with it, we have another Stubborn Denial, then we're in great shape. Oh, just a Fable. Okay, that is fine. That is fine. Passes. Scavengers. Well, go to combat. Hit you for 8. Opponent does Fable stuff. Oh, we need two turns. Discard some cards. Yeah, hexproof away from having the fully powered Soulflayer. Wants the treasure. Well, we'll kill your goblin. Indomitable Creativity. Well, I think we Stubborn Denial that. Otherworldly Gaze. Well, we are milling every one of those. Graveyard. Upkeep. Otherworldly Gaze. Wow. Okay, six lands in a row. That's interesting. That is very interesting in our 20 land deck. Grapple with the past. Okay, hit ya. Unfortunate deck ordering. Opponent taps flip Fable. All right, this is it, opponent. We did our best. Can you find an answer? We got him to 2. We stopped the Indomitable Creativity. Can they answer our Soulflayer? Our indestructible Soulflayer? Prismari. Oh, it's desperation mode. Opponent is trying to find the divide by 0. That is essentially all of it right now. Plays a land. Wow, that would have been an answer too. Creativity for Hullbreaker. That doesn't stop it. We got him. It's scary when your Soulflayer is not 100% safe. This is a really good Soulflayer, but not the guaranteed Soulflayer, but good enough. Ooh, we're up against Pascal Menard. Okay, this might be a tough one. We will see. I mean, we got the Otherworldly Gaze. We got Hexproof we can cycle. We got the Soulflayer. I mean, if we get lucky with this Otherworldly Gaze, I mean, turn 1 Gaze can put 4 cards in the graveyard. That means turn 2 Soulflayer. A lot of it will depend, or we get Thoughtseized. Omenhawker, sure. A lot of it's going to depend on what we hit with Otherworldly Gaze. Dark Slick Shores, go. We're up against something spicy. You don't see too many Omenhawkers. Reckoner Bankbuster. Let's have a good gaze. Otherworldly Gaze. Well, all right, graveyard, top. Yeah, I think we wait one more turn. I think we take the green mana. So we can Grizzly Salvage this turn. Oh, opponent's gonna draw a card. So we Grizzly Salvage this turn. The question's gonna be dodging counters, really. That's gonna be the big one. Passing, Grizzly Salvage. Take a Scavengers. Untap. Oh, we draw Zatulpa. Would have rather milled that one. The question is, how do we beat counters? That's the question. Can we beat counters? Urborg Scavengers. Go after the Riverwinder. Opponent's gonna draw a card. Do you have removal? All right, power word kill, sure. Found the removal, untaps. Yeah, this is, I assume, the start our opponent's deck is looking for. Omenhawker and a Bankbuster. Boy, okay, all the Bankbusters. We get to try it again. We draw a Chromaticor. Boy, this still doesn't beat a counter, though, is a problem. We've been trying desperately to play around counters. Soulflayer, not a counter. Opponent gonna draw a card. Okay, or just counter, sure. Opponent gonna draw with Bankbuster. Opponent cruise the Bankbuster, gonna go attacking. Sure. And draws with Bankbuster. And plays a land and passes. Yeah, I think we're just in trouble. Probably just dead, actually. Well, let's grapple with the past. Soulflayer. Yeah, it's not good enough, though. Like, we can give it hexproof, but that doesn't stop the Bankbusters. So there's not even really any point in playing it. Well, that was interesting. I'm curious to see our opponent's deck again. I wonder if our opponent's deck can do that when it doesn't have its ideal start. That's what I'm curious about. What happens when you don't start with Omen Seeker Bankbuster? Does the deck still function? So we'll do a little trimming. Maybe we bring in the Terra Sunder. Yeah, let's try something like that. So we're going to be on the play for game number 2, which is good. That was definitely an impressive draw. Free Bankbuster activations, pretty powerful. I wonder if Omen Hawker is actually a playable card. The question is, does it do enough when you don't have that draw? That's what we got to see. I mean, maybe they just get that draw again and it plays out exactly the same way. I feel like it's obviously good when you have turn 1 Omen Hawker, turn 2 Bankbuster. Like, that's obviously good. But what if you don't have that? Then what is Omen Hawker doing? Is it worth being a card in your deck when you don't have that draw? All right, this stands fine. Thoughtseize into Grizzly Salvage, hopefully into a good Soulflayer. Well, Dark Slick Shores and Thoughtseize you. Oh, opponent's just a blue-black control deck. Oh, okay, so this is actually super boring. I mean, I guess we take Extinction Event, pass the turn. Oh, I'm way less excited now. I thought we were seeing something innovative and new, but I mean, I guess it depends on your definition of innovative and new. It might be that our opponent sideboarded out everything that was interesting about their deck. Grizzly Salvage, take a Scavenger, mill a million Gazes. Well, pass the turn. So we know our opponent has an Edict, unfortunately. Well, if we win this game somehow, I think we bring in the counters for games 2 and 3. Do we want to Gaze upkeep? Yeah, let's just draw. We draw Scavengers. Overgrown Tomb untapped. I think we just run out the Scavengers. It's not doing much at the moment, but it is a body to eat an Edict. All right, we'll just eat the Extinction Event. Pass the turn. All right, gets rid of the Scavengers. Watery Grave untapped. Ooh, we draw a Thoughtseize. In that case, I think we Thoughtseize our opponent. Neutralize 2 Shark Typhoons, a Twara. Well, let's take the counter. Mana Confluence. We are down to 12. Actually, we're way less than 12. We are down to 10. But Urborg Scavengers, keep it in the graveyard. Opponent's gonna make a mini shark at some point. All right, eat a Edict. Opponent makes a shark. Drawing double Mana Confluence might end up being a problem. We will see. So the opponent gets a 1/1. Gets in for 1. Well, we will draw. Another Mana Confluence, unfortunately. Well, hit you with the Scavengers. Eat a Neutralize. Night Veil Predator, which is a good shark blocker. All right, makes another shark. Yup. Well, play the Mana Confluence, pass the turn. Night Veil Predator's big here. That is big. That means we're not just gonna die to sharks. We know our opponent is a Twara, so they can bounce the Scavengers. Lifelink would be helpful. Oh, the Storm Giants. Upkeep Gaze. Graveyard. Yeah, we'll keep the Grizzly Salvage. All right, go to combat. So they spend 4 mana. Let's just see the Shark Typhoon. They might still bounce anyway. Wow, we have done so much damage to ourselves. All right, opponent takes it down to 9. Yeah, let's Soulflayer. Eat some Thoughtseizes. Pass the turn. 5 is not a lot of life, though. All right, bounces the Scavengers. I mean, Scavengers has been good here. We didn't manage to eat anything super helpful, but has our opponent damaged us this game? I don't think they have. I think we've done 15 to ourselves. Looking between our Thoughtseizes, drawing all the Mana Confluences and a Shockland, like purely self-inflicted, unfortunately. So if we lose, I don't even know if our opponent beat us or if we just we just died to our own mana base. Hexproof is a good ability. We're gonna lose our ability to make mana here shortly, though. I wonder if we should be playing an Urborg. Maybe an Urborg just to minimize these Mana Confluences pain. That might actually be worth it. Might be worth considering. Would be really helpful right here. That is for sure. Opponent. All right, Watery Grave. Untap down to 7. Interesting. Opponent passes. All right, what do we draw? Zatalpa. Well, we wish that was in the graveyard. Attack with the Soulflayer. Opponent takes it. So if they drew a third Shark Typhoon, we're in trouble. Now let's replay Scavengers. Eat a Shark Typhoon. What did you draw, opponent? What did you draw? Oh, is it really the third shark? Jeez. Our opponent got the win the game without dealing damage merit badge. Well, okay. Mana Confluence. Hurts a bit. We get to play first. Well, we get to keep this. Go, Otherworldly Gaze. This is one of those, wow, triple Scavengers. This is a big gaze. Like, if this gaze is good, we get to turn 2 Soulflayer. And turn 2 Soulflayer, a good one, is pretty unbeatable. Graveyard, top. Well, that's not exactly what we were hoping for. Over into Grizzly Salvage. Forest. Pass the turn. Okay, so we got some Tatulpas, which is nice. That is a good start. Opponent breeding pool. Arboreal Grazer. Ooh, okay, combo time. There's Lotus Field, sack some lands. Well, we draw a Gaze. I guess we just play the land, play Scavengers, eat Tatulpa. Can this beat a Lotus Field, though, is the question. I don't know that it can. Opponent impulses. I mean, we have a fast clock. Is it faster than... Oh, and they have the Oh, jeez. Wow. All right, so opponent just has the Hidden Stirrings not draw, unfortunately. Yeah, now it seems unlikely that this will be fast enough. Otherworldly Gaze. Graveyard, put on top, put on top. All right, so we draw the land, play the Mana Confluence, go to combat. Hit you with the Scavengers. We might as well get Hexproof. Blocks with the Grazer, takes bunch, but not enough. Drops to 13. I mean, we are presenting lethal next turn, but wow, we had a good draw. We had a good draw, but I'm not sure it will be enough because our opponent had a equally good draw. They have 2 Lotus Fields. Well, now we get to do the most fun thing in Pioneer, which is sit here for 15 or 20 minutes while your opponent dirtles around, taps some lands, untaps some lands, and draws some cards. Has Emergent Ultimatum. So I think our opponent wins. I don't think there's a way that this deck can cast Emergent Ultimatum and not win. Leer, Pour Over Pages, and Omniscience. Well, does it even matter? No Omniscience. I don't think this matters though, because our opponent gets to recast their entire graveyard. So I don't think it's possible. I was almost tempted just to give them the Omniscience so then we could scoop, because then we know it's over with. As it is, it's still not, well, what if the top 20 cards of their deck are all lands? Theoretically, the top 20 cards of their deck could all be lands, and then there would be a chance. Opponent, Pour Over Pages. Untap some lands. 13 Magic the Gathering cards in hand. Well, our deck did its thing. Our opponent deck also did their thing. And their thing is, I guess, win the game on turn 4. I guess our combo's a turn slower here. Emergent Ultimatum. Opponent gets to tutor from their sideboard. An Emergent Ultimatum gets back Vizier of Tumbling Sands. Yeah, this is basically the storm of Hidden Stirrings. All right, so then they can just tutor up. They can tutor up their Approach of Second Sons again. All right, that's what happens when you have 2 Lotus Fields on turn 3. This might be tough because, our actual plan for stopping what our opponent's doing is kind of medium, maybe even bad, honestly. Like, Stubborn Denial is good. I guess Chromatic Core is just bad, right? It just straight up is bad. Gaining life doesn't do anything, so yeah, let's run it like that. Thoughtseize is Stubborn Denials. We get to play first. This hand is just not fast enough. It's got a Stubborn Denial, but nothing else. All right, well, I mean, I guess this will keep, although this also is probably not fast enough against what our opponent's doing. So the thing that can beat our opponent's deck is Damping Sphere is a big one. There's not a lot. Pioneer probably could use a Blood Moon or 2. Arboreal Grazer to put a land into play. Our opponents also had their optimal draws, which doesn't make it easier. Like, that's certainly an issue. They've had Grazer both games. I assume into Lotus Field. We'll take a Mana Confluence, mill some stuff past the turn. Our good friend Arboreal Grazer. Opponent. Hope Tender. All right, more ways to untap lands, and a Thespian Stage. So opponent's setting up for the combo next turn by the looks. Well, Mana Confluence, Scavengers. Eat the Riverwinder for Hexproof. Pass the turn. I mean, they do need the Lotus Field. If they don't have the Lotus Field, things are fine. If they do have the Lotus Field, they win the game this turn, unfortunately. We really would like Double Strike. That would be the best. Passes. We draw Darkslick Shores. Grapple with the Pest. Forest. Didn't hit anything super helpful. Didn't actually hit anything helpful at all. I'll go to combat, do some attacking. Unfortunately, our opponent gets a pretty free chump block here. A pretty free chump block with the Arboreal Grazer. I mean, I guess it's only 4 anyway. Yup. Well, all right, play the Forest. I guess the good news is our life total doesn't matter. If our opponent's gonna win, they're gonna win by a lot. Okay, copies a Breeding Pool. Okay, looks like a Pour Over Pages. All right, let's see if they find it. We do get to start eating stuff out of our opponent's graveyard. If we don't hit double strike in the graveyard somehow, we can like exile the pour over pages or whatever. Opponent, behold the beyond discarded. And oh, Grazer, did they find it? Temple of Mystery, haven't found it yet. Scries to the bottom, okay, that's good. We draw, grapple, well, let's do some grappling. Grapple with the past. Overgrown Tomb untapped. Play the Overgrown Tomb untapped. Eat a pour over pages. Opponent's gonna block the troll. Well, we will discard the Riverwinder. Kill the Grazer. Why do we have a damage top set? Okay, 1, 2, 3, Scavengers number 2. This one's gonna eat the Behold the Beyond. Do they find it? No Lotus Fields, no Lotus Fields. Because of this Hope Tender, they can untap it. So if they find it, they can just immediately go off. Next turn, we force them to chump with the Hope Tender at least, if they don't have something else. Scavengers keeping the graveyard clean is helpful-ish. Cycles a Vizier. They are just desperately trying to find this Lotus Field. Just an island. Upkeep. We will do a little gazing. If we can hit double strike, we win here, I think. Okay, graveyard, graveyard. Keep grapple on top. Draw the grapple. Grapple with the past. Yeah, let's take a Scavengers, I guess. Go to combat. Nothing worth eating. Never found double strike. So I guess this can get hexproof. Oh my goodness. Okay. We overcame the Lotus Field in that game. Oh, what a frightening matchup. What a frightening matchup. I mean, we got to see a sneaky upside though, I think, of Urborg Scavengers, which is being able to just hate on the opponent's graveyard. It gets the counter no matter what it eats, like even if it's non-creature. So just being able to keep the instants and sorceries out of our opponent's graveyard, kind of relevant. I mean, the biggest deal there was our opponent just didn't find the Lotus Field. Maybe we do a little more trimming. Is Assassin's Trophy worth it? Obviously can't Assassin's Trophy the Lotus Field, but we can the Thespian stage. Maybe that's going too deep. What is our best way of winning against this deck? Just like having a fast clock, I think. I don't know if Ether Gust does enough. It can stop a ultimatum. All right, let's go one Assassin's Trophy, run it like that. Opponent's on the play, opponent's on the play. Can we somehow overcome? Oh. I mean, I think we keep this, although opponent keeping 7. Definitely scary. Breeding Pool untapped and Arboreal Grazer, of course. Watery Grave untapped. Okay, well, we're gonna counter that. I assume that's getting the Lotus Field, and I assume we don't want our opponent to get a Lotus Field. Wow, they have the Thespian stage. All right, opponent passes. We draw. Mana Confluence. We'll play Blooming Marsh past the turn. No Lotus Fields, opponent. I mean, our opponent doesn't have a ton of cards in hand. I guess that's something. I guess a Soulflayer. We draw. Thoughtseize? Breeding Pool. Well, play a Swamp. Run out the Scavengers. Ooh, but our opponent's untapping with their combo. Yeah, not much we can do about that. We even had a counter for the first Sylvan Scrying, but our opponent just had all the Lotus Fields. Opponent taps the Lotus Field. Copies. Sylvan Scrying. So opponent has all the mana they could possibly want. We need a really good draw here. I don't even know. Thoughtseize is probably our best draw. Striped Riverwinder. Well, we will cycle that into a Stubborn Denial. That's actually somewhat relevant. Mana Confluence. Go to combat. Attack. Eat the Vizier? Eat the Vizier. This makes Stubborn Denial a hard counter. Unfortunately, our opponent still has this Arboreal Grazer. All right, well, we will Soulflayer. Get down another 4/4 with hexproof past the turn. What do you got, opponent? What do you got? Can this Stubborn Denial keep us alive? Opponent, shimmer of possibilities. The question's gonna be, what do we spend it on? We don't really have lethal next turn anyway. We need 2 more turns. Beseju, pour over pages. I think we just counter it and hope it's good enough. Thoughtseize would still be good. Lotleth Troll, go to combat. Do some attacking. Eat your pour over pages. Blocks. Drops to 10. Well, we will play a Lotleth Troll. Only 2 cards in hand. Are Stubborn Denials gonna be is it gonna be enough to get us through? I don't know if this is good or bad. I mean, I think the fact our opponent's thinking about it's at least a little encouraging. Do they have Emergent Ultimatum but not the right colors to cast it? Thespian Stage. Besage's a Blooming Marsh. Forest. Oh my god, we got there. Oh my goodness, we did it. We did it, and we drew the Thoughtseize. Oh, we took down Lotus Field. They did have the Emergent Ultimatum in hand, but didn't have the right colors of mana. Wait, did they really not? Green, green, green. Wow, they really didn't. I don't know if I've ever seen that before. Double Lotus Field and a bunch of other lands and our opponent didn't have the right colors. Oh, is there any way we survive the Emergent Ultimatum? Probably not. Although actually maybe this is where we could give them Omniscience. Urborg Scavengers, proving its worth against the Storm deck of the format. Sweet, sweet. If we had blue mana, this hand would be fine. I think we got a mulligan it though. This one does have blue mana. Put a Predator to the bottom. Really could use a way to fill the graveyard more than just this Striped Riverwinder. Riverwinder's fine. That's a way we can give Scavengers hexproof, but we could use some real graveyard stocking here. Opponent. All right, well, we will cycle. Tap Steam Vents. Grizzly Salvage is good. That is kind of exactly what we were hoping for. Actually, Overgrown Tomb is fine too. Well, let's Overgrown Tomb, and I think we just... Actually, let's pass. If our opponent counters a Grizzly Salvage, they'll be tapped out when we get to scavenge the Riverwinder. If they don't counter it, then we get to fill the graveyard and see what happens. So is it... Probably Creativity. I don't know if there's many is it control decks that are not Creativity. So counters and removal, definitely a concern. In some ways, I think we're hoping our opponent counters this, as weird as that sounds. Wow, our graveyard is immaculate. Can we find the window? Oh, we have the perfect. Oh, we have the we're gonna take the Riverwinder. Okay, untap, draw. We just gotta find a way to get it down. We draw a Chromatic Core. So our opponent could definitely have Make Disappear. That's a thing that is very possible. On the other hand, can we really do nothing this turn? Does that make life better, doing nothing? Scavengers dies to even more. Next turn, we can pay for a Make Disappear, but divide by 0 would be a thing. Well, let's Scavengers. Okay, that's fine. But this sets us up for a really good Soulflayer, which we hopefully will not get countered. Opponent, Fable the Mirror Breaker. Could see that one coming. Let's see if you can beat the Soulflayer. Play Mana Confluence. Soulflayer. All right, that is a good one. Double strike, first strike, flying, hexproof, indestructible, lifelink, trample, and vigilance. Opponent untaps. If our opponent is playing Is It Creativity, trying to put Torrential Gearhulks into play, this Soulflayer might just beat that. Like, this actually might just straight up beat our opponent doing that. They're not going to be able to answer it. Magma Opus doesn't beat it, unless they have something we're not thinking of, like, get a Torrential Gearhulk, sure, we hit you for 8. You can't attack us. Magma Opus, sure, we hit you for 8. So a Soulflayer might just be good enough. Like, that has all the keywords. Passing, well, okay, black and green, Grizzly Salvage. Opponent's going to Impulse, sure. Could you imagine putting this on the Soulflayer? Bestowing the Chronicor. All right, so we get to Grizzly Salvage. Urborg Scavengers. Go to combat, hit you for 8. Takes the beats. Scavengers. Resolves. I feel like it's gonna die. Yeah, let's take the Impulse. Play it like a hate card. Pass the turn. I feel like if we went for hexproof, they would just kill it. Opponent impulses. I'm not convinced our opponent can beat this. Even if our opponent has creativity, unless they're playing a weird combo build, I'm still not convinced they can beat it. Opponent flips the Fable. Sure. Creativity. Yeah. World Spine Worm Xenagos goes attacking. Oh, so they are playing an old... Wait, we win. We survive this and win. I don't think I've ever survived a World Spine Worm attack before. We gain enough life that we don't die. We drop to 7. We untap. Scavengers gets double strike, and we kill him. Go to combat. Attack you. We just took the World Spine to the face. We took the World Spine to the face and it didn't matter. I mean, essentially the best draw their deck can have. That was turn 5, full combo, and it wasn't enough. That was very impressive. Very, very impressive. Well, Stubborn Denial's in. Thoughtseize in. Maybe Ether Gust. Ether Gust, Stubborn Denial are all good. What can we cut to make room for this? So go down one Riverwinder, go down one Predator, go down a Tainted Indulgence, go down a Lotless Troll. Maybe go down a Chromaticor, a Grapple, maybe one Scavengers, one more Troll, go one Ether Gust, 3 Stubborn Denial? Actually, okay, let's go all the Stubborn Denial. I feel like Stubborn Denial is like one of our best cards. Let's try it like this. Hopefully our deck is still functional. That was a really impressive win. Okay, I think we can keep this. We have 2 Gazes. We got the Soulflayer. We have a Thoughtseize. We need a land for sure. Soulflayer, well, Mana Confluence, and ouch, Otherworldly Gaze. Graveyard. Do we want the Ether Gust? Probably not. Right now, graveyard, top. Okay, that works. So we find the land. Next turn, we can Thoughtseize Gaze. Hopefully, Soulflayer the following turn. Play the Watery Grave, Thoughtseize you. Let's take the Impulse. Leave our opponent with a hand that isn't doing much, but also a hand that has a lot of counters. So we're not going to be doing much. Or are they going to tap out for a Fable? Oh, God. Oh, we got so lucky. Okay. Well, that's good. Graveyard. Our poor opponent. If they had just left up their counters, they were in good shape. But tapping out for this Fable, I think, is going to just ruin our opponent's day. Because we get to Soulflayer, Zetalpa, Nightveil Predator, random stuff. We don't have lifelink this time. So that is a way our opponent could potentially win. If they can do their combo that they did last time, it's going to work this time because we're not gaining life with the Soulflayers. We really need to find a counterspell, really. That's the big one opponent, Spikefield Hazard. Are we attacking? No. All right, we untap. We draw counterspell. Watery Grave. Well, go to combat. Watery Grave. Did you draw it? Opponent flips the Fable. 2 turns. We need 2 turns for the win. No attacks. Well, 1, 2. Otherworldly Gaze. Opponent counters. Okay, we will not pay. 1, 2. Otherworldly Gaze. Okay, we will not pay. How about just drawing a counterspell or Thoughtseize? That would also be good. Lotless Troll. Well, all right, this is it. Hit ya. Either our opponent finds creativity this turn or they die next turn. That is the game. Opponent untaps. Did they draw it or do we get the 4-1? Opponent scoops it up. Okay. And 8-player looking pretty legit. We lost once to that weird blue-black control deck from Pascal Menard. Otherwise, we beat Mono Green. We beat Is It Creativity. We are kind of crushing the best decks in the format. I gotta say, this deck actually felt really good. Way better than I expected it to. And our reward is some treasure chests. The undefeated would have been nice. The 5-0, but a 4-1. A 4-1 with our Janky Brew is pretty sweet. Some big money. Lost in the Woods. There was a meme deck in limited with this card. Lost in the Woods, 5-mana enchantment. Whenever a creature attacks you or a planeswalker you control, reveal a type card to your library. If it's a forest, remove that creature from combat. Then you put the revealed cards on the bottom of your library. There was a meme deck that was like, you play only forests and Lost in the Woods if you draft it and just trust that your opponent will never be able to kill you. I don't think it was good. Sadistic Sacrament's a sweet card. The kicker so much though. 10 is just a big number to actually kick it. All right, no value in chest 1. Chest number 2, Daring Apprentice, Tybalt's Trickery. I honestly miss Tybalt's Trickery. This is one of those cards that makes me wish they could errata cards. If this only targeted your opponent's stuff, I actually think it would be a really cool card to have exist. Like, I like my mono red deck can play this against a control deck and have a counter spell or whatever. The problem is the way it's worded, it was just like a combo piece. So it didn't actually play fairly, but a fair version of this, I actually think would be a cool card to have exist. All right, well, so far, whiff and whiff. Treasure chest number 3, Planeswalker deck Oko, and Plarg in Nisiri. Okay, the whiffs continue. 2 to go. Come on, something big, something good. Come on, treasure chest. Don't betray us. Oh, God. Literally one of the worst cards of all time. Mind Bend. And also a free Flame Painter. Well, all right, down to our last shot. These have been some duds of chess. I mean, Fancy Thoughtseize. How much is Fancy Thoughtseize on Magic Online? Fancy Thoughtseize, let's see. I don't even think this is the best version though. That's kind of the problem. I think Old Border is the most valuable Thoughtseize. What does Goatbot say about Thoughtseize prices? So Retro Flame, most expensive. Foil, still a hit. Nine ticks. So not quite as good as Retro Frame, but Borderless does have some value. So well, that's a win. At least we got something out of our treasure chest. So why don't we learn about 8 Flayer? And the deck was sweet. The deck was sweet, and it actually worked really well. We dodged Graveyard Hate, which I was somewhat surprised by. I thought that might be a thing because of Greasefang decks, but we didn't really have to deal with Graveyard Hate, and the plan was really consistent, and I think that's the biggest upside. Like, we've seen Mimi Soulflayer decks in the past. In Soulflayer, it's really strong. We saw the best draws. Like, we have not a literal, but a virtual turn to win, where we otherworldly gaze on one and hit like Zatalpa and Hexproof or whatever, and just Soulflayer on turn 2, and a 4/4 flying double strike indestructible hexproof, like that's not realistically beatable for pretty much any deck in the format. So we have this virtual turn to win. The problem is you only got 4 Soulflayers and you don't always find them. And if you find them on turn 5 or 6 or 7, it's kind of late because you're not really doing anything in the early game other than filling your graveyard. Urborg Scavengers, it really changes that equation. I don't think it's quite as good as Soulflayer, although there is definitely some upside, which we saw from it. Like, I think overall Soulflayer, it's going to be 2 mana. This is going to be 3 mana. The bigger issue with Scavengers is there is that window where when you play it, it ETB triggers to exile something you can counter. So even if we have hexproof, like Stripe Riverwinder or something in the graveyard, there's that window where our opponent can kill it in response. So I think it's like a riskier Soulflayer, but it also has a lot more upside than Soulflayer. Soulflayer, you gotta have all the cards in the graveyard beforehand. One of the upsides of Scavengers is we can like play it with a mostly empty graveyard, eat a Stripe Riverwinder, and then the next turn, Otherworldly Gaze, Grapple with the Past, whatever, do something to get the Zatalpa in the graveyard, and then eat it and get the Double Strike, or get the Chromatic Core in the graveyard, and then eat it and get the Lifelink and the First Strike and all the other keywords. The other thing is the clock is basically the same, right? Like, Soulflayer comes down, it's gonna be a 4/4, and that's what it is. Scavengers comes down, eats something, it's a 3/3. The next turn it eats something, it's a 4/4. So by the time you're attacking, it's the same amount of damage. And then Urborg Scavengers, the following turn, is a 5/5, and then a 6/6. So it actually gets bigger than Soulflayer. The other big upside that we saw, it's also just Graveyard Hate. Like, we were using it just to eat the stuff our opponent might flash back out of their Lotus Field deck from our opponent's graveyard. This can come down and snipe the Parhelion that Rafine might get back, even though he didn't play against Rafine. So I actually was very impressed with Scavengers. Yeah, it doesn't quite have the same nut draw potential as Soulflayer, where you're just like, oops, I accidentally milled really well and win the game on turn 2. But it does have a lot of flexibility, and over the course of a long game is actually better. So I think the deck, it actually felt really good. I mean, the biggest thing overall is now we got 8 Soulflayers with Urborg Scavengers in the mix. So we had just so much more consistency. We were always finding the first one. That was almost never a problem. And then we were often finding the second one and the third one. And that's huge because so much of our deck is just dedicated to stocking our graveyard that hitting multiple of those is really good because we're like never casting this stuff, if we're being honest. Like, this pile's never being cast. Nightvale Predator rarely cast. So if you really think about our deck, it's like this huge pile of graveyard filling cards. Lilith Troll is actually kind of one of those to get stuff out of our hand. A huge pile of uncastable cards. So we really want to draw as much of this pile as possible. And I think that just having Scavengers on top of Soulflayer is a really big deal. So that's 8 Flayer. Might actually be a kind of legit archetype in the Pioneer format. Our sideboard was good, the main deck was good, it might actually be good. Sadly, can't play it in Explorer yet because we don't actually have Soulflayer on Arena, so you gotta play it in actual Pioneer. But if you want to do some scavenging and inflate some opponent's souls, I don't know, the deck actually felt pretty sweet. So anyway, that is 8 Soulflayers with Urborg Scavengers in Pioneer. That's been our deck for today. Thanks for watching, everyone. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will talk to you soon.